All right, welcome back, you beautiful bastions of freedom. Who is ready for crazy delivered in mass? Because it turns out they finally said the quiet part out loud, guys. Abolish the Senate, get rid of the Electoral College, and pack the Supreme Court. This is like a little bit of Woodrow Wilson mixed up with FDR, modern day Bernie Sanders, and a whole lot of crazy to bind it all together. And I've got all of it for you right here. It'll be linked in the description box below. I'm not making this up. I provide receipts to every single thing I show you guys because this is the fight that we're in. We're not in the fight for individual gun rights. We're not in the fight for individual freedom of speech rights. We are in the fight for our rights of our freaking country. They literally just floated the idea to get rid of the Senate, the Electoral College, and pack the Supreme Court in the New York Times, the leftist letter of record. Guys, I need you to send this one out because the stuff that I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on because that action alone defeats all the crazy that I'm about to show you because we are pushing freedom here very forward, very fast. And I'd love for you guys to be a part of that. So make sure you make them stub their toes and poke fingers in their eyes, lemon juice on cuts, all the things. And let's get into this. But guys, as I crank this up, make sure you check out our new limited time design. I just designed this shirt. Check it out. Together, patriotism, hard work. We are going to save this country. That's the idea behind this shirt. There's a link in the description box below. Guys, this is how we fund the mission. You look great and you send a message. It's about the why of this entire underlying principle of the channel, grinding towards freedom. It comes in brown, comes in navy, comes in charcoal. It's a front design and a back. As you can see, it's got an icon on the front and that's saying on the back. And you can also I'd save 10% off if you are a Second Press member, so make sure you check all of this stuff out. Whether you're going to the football game this fall looking like this guy with all three options, or you're walking down the range, guys, this is how we express and win the culture, by bringing these things to the forefront. And I hope you guys are there for me with that, and it looks good and you like it and all the things. All right, guys, this is absolutely crazy town. And good, we got 5x5 and audio, video, excellent. All right. I'm going to walk you through what they've said, a little bit of history, which they didn't see coming, and then also what they're the details of what they're saying, okay? Keep in mind, this is what the people who tell you you don't need your gun rights want to do, and they talk about in their intelligentsia circles, all right? Here's the actual article. Originally, abolish the Senate in the Electoral College, pack the court. So I was going through this and I pulled the actual article up. As you can see, it is real. It is linked in the description box below. Abolish the Senate in the Electoral College, pack the court. Now, of course, they want the power. That's what it's. They can't win without changing the rules, so they want to change the rules. Okay, great, fine, good. You're not going to do it, but that's what they're saying, right? New York Times. Now, this part is a really pivotal part from all the research that I did. Also from the New York Times. Hey, look at that. See that date right there? February 28th, 1911. 1911, not only a great year for guns and a gun manufacturer, but also 114 years ago. Okay, what'd they say 114 years ago? In the New York Times. Abolish the Senate, the socialist cry. Oh my God. No, they wouldn't. Yep, they would. They did. They are. Guys, there's nothing new under the sun. When I tell you these people are progressives and they are bent on socialism, it's because they are. I bring receipts on everything. I'm going to show you a few excerpts from this from 114 years ago, and then I'm going to show you what they're saying right now. Guys, the way this is all going to weave together, bear with me. As you can see, Tuesday, February 28th, 1911, there's the actual article. This is an actual copy of the actual article on that day. Abolish the Senate, the socialist cry. Let's open it up. Watch this. As you can see, exact same sentence. I'm not making this up. The United States Supreme Court and the Constitution found much of the same in the way of progress. Look at that. The Supreme Court again. Isn't that odd? Again, this is from 114 years ago. Now it's being couched as this big, novel idea to explore the American experiment. Nope. Socialists were doing it before then too. Listen to this. I'm going to read a few excerpts here. Now this is really hard to read because it's old type, but socialists to the number of 3,000 in mass meeting assembled at Cooper Union last night cut the Gordian knot of the senatorship deadlock in Albany by voting unanimously to abolish the United States Senate altogether as a central capitalist union of the United States. Whoa. Guys, please send this stuff out. The fights and the stuff that we are doing right here with this is the fight, okay? Let's keep on going. The United States Supreme Court fell scarcely less under their displeasure. It's really hard to read. Scarcely less under their displeasure as a council of 9 elders who meet every crying need of legislation for the people by consulting a faded parchment of the 18th century, that'd be the Constitution, shaking their venerable heads and calmly nullifying all measures of growth and progress. Guys, that is what Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani say. The exact same language. The only thing's changed is the suits. Let me keep on going here. Reverence for the Constitution also met with little tolerance at the hands of the speakers of the evening, who seemed in a mood to abolish the entire government and other institutions generally, with the exception of the socialist press of the city. Guys, this is in New York Times in 1911. Again, hand me the gun, keep this crap. But I'm going to keep on going. I want to show you something else. I want to wrap this up and tell me this is not exactly what something Bernie Sanders would say, except in a dumber accent. Here we go. The whole system of the United States Senate, cried Mr. Hillquit, is wrong and vicious. We socialists demand not the reformation, but the absolute abolition of that gangrenous appendix to our body politic, a monstrosity more ludicrous than the House of Lords in England, created as a deliberate check on popular government to protect the claims of property and the few against the rights of men and the many. Guys, this is the exact same language that you see all over the place in the current hottest topics of the far left progressive socialists. Again, I'm going to open up back to what they're saying now here in a second and weave all this together. I'm telling you what they said in 1911 in the exact same newspaper. You aren't going to get this stuff anywhere else, especially in the gun world. I promise. No one else is going to do this. But this is the whole point. When you tie all these things together, you see the fight is significantly bigger than anything else. Tell me if this isn't something Bernie Sanders would say. Again, 1911. Our Senate has been styled the House of Dollars, the Millionaires Club. Holy crap! It may be called the Central Capitalist Union of the United States. It's truly insane. Its members are the walking, or rather the talking delegates of the organized industries of the country, railroad senators, lumber senators, sugar senators, oil senators, and capitalist senators at large. Guys, it's the exact same. 114 years ago. I'm getting squeaky. It's that crazy. But let's jump right to the end. Then I'll bring you what they're doing in the beginning. And I don't care about someone losing a brooch. All right, check this out. Meyer London declared that the framers of the Constitution felt it was, quote, as wise to leave the selection of the United States senators to the people as to leave to a blind man the selection of a horse. He said that as a result of this deliberate policy of restricting and putting checks upon the will of the people, checks and balances, the Senate had come to be a board of directors of the capitalist corporation of the United States. If the matter were left to him, he said, he would improve the condition by sending Morris Hillquit to the Senate from Albany right now, but Mr. Hillquit insisted he wouldn't go. Okay, that's what they said, and if you're just now tuning in, I'm going to zoom all the way back up. That's what they said. We'll close that out, go over here, on Tuesday, February 28th, 1911, in the New York Times. This is absolutely part of the record. Okay? I've shown you all the backstory. Really important stuff. Now, let's get to the actual opinion of what they're saying today. Oh my God. Abolish the Senate in the Electoral College, pack the court. Why the left can't win without a new constitution. August 14th, 2025. 114 years later, they're recycling the same talking points. And this guy wrote a book all about destroying the Senate, the Electoral College, and the Supreme Court. Guys, when I tell you the gun world is going to save this country, it's because we've seen all this crap and we are most tuned in. We just simply are. Listen to this. All right. After the great rebuke of 2024, by the way, that was Biden and Harris, many Democrats seem to think their party needs to become more moderate. That's the Civil War I've been telling you about. But there's another theory potent on the American left that believes Donald Trump's election shows not just that American democracy is in danger, but that it doesn't really work at all. What the country needs isn't just a new policy agenda, it might need the kind of constitutional revolution from adding new states to packing the Supreme Court that some Democrats already flirted with under Joe Biden. That's the kind of argument that my guest today, whatever, that's the guy's name, socialist, makes in his new book, The Right of the People, Democracy and the Case for a New American Founding. This guy is a contributing editor at the New Republic and the Democratic Institutions Fellow at the Roosevelt Institute. Establishment deep state socialist built into the name Republic. That's what this guy is, okay? And if you're just now tuning in, I just walked you through. Please walk back in this video, play it back, and watch what they said in 1911. I'm about to show you what they just said 2 days ago in 2025, and you tell me how amazingly scary and plug and play they are. It's the exact same thing. All the talking points from what's-his-face, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Gavin Newsom, all of them. All right? I got a few points highlighted for you. Early last year, and this is from an interview exchange back and forth, that's why it's broken up in text quotes. Early last year, Gallup did a poll where they found that more than 70% of Americans didn't believe that democratic institutions were functioning properly. So, when Democrats came out and said that our democracy needs to be protected and saved, I think a lot of Americans doubted whether they had a functional democracy to save to begin with. It's a constitutional republic. We all know it's a constitutional republic, and he even alludes to that here in a second. It's not a pure democracy, it is a constitutional republic. This is the thing that I'm trying to lay out for you guys. They bring in all of these institutions. They bring all of these things in that are built on the electoral college, built on the state, the executive state, the legislature, all built on this huge big government. And when those things don't work out the way that they want to, because they can't physically, then they say, oh, the whole thing's broken, we got to be a socialist. That's what they say, okay? And this is a really big, important part. I'm going to throw the link for that shirt over there and link it. There we go. All right, if you want the shirts, if you want to support the channel, in the pinned comment up there. All right, so let's keep on going. Constitutional Republic, that's what I said, right? And remember everything I showed you earlier on, because it's about to get really similar. Same guy. The guy, Nuanevo, I don't know how his name, I don't care. Nuvu, I don't care. This guy is the one that is suggesting and being a proponent of abolishing the Senate, packing the Supreme Court, and getting rid of the Electoral College. All right, tell me when it starts to sound familiar. The first, political equality. People are equal in standing when they come to make a collective choice. So when it comes to the Senate, for instance, we have one of the most malapportioned upper houses in the world. I think only Argentina, good Lord, Argentina and Brazil among our peers are more malapportioned than ours. So the whole idea here is the Senate only has 2 people per state. So if California has a bagajillion people and Wyoming has 24 people, they shouldn't have the same representation in the Senate. That's the argument. That's the whole thing. The left is saying, like, well, it should be equal representation per population, but we have the House for that. That's the whole point. The House does that based on population. The Senate is 2 set per state. Right? But they don't like that because it gives a disproportionate amount of power to red states. That gets in their way. So what do? You crack out the New York Times from 1911 and you start reading all the socialist propaganda bullshit. All right, let's keep on going. Classic example. California is a state of about 40 million people. If it were its own country, it'd be one of the 40 largest countries in the world. It is one of the largest economies in the world. It has the same number of senators as Wyoming, a state of fewer than 600,000 people. Fewer, in fact, than Washington, D.C. That means, functionally, that people in Wyoming have about 60 or more than that, 60 the times the representation that people in California do in the Senate. In the House, it's the exact opposite. This is the thing. They don't like to hear this whole counter argument because the system is meant to be balanced. That's why they said the whole check and balance thing is a problem in that 1911 thing. Yeah, guys, it's the same arguments. I don't think that's merely an academic point. You hear in school that this is balanced out by the House. It is balanced out by the House. It's not really in a substantive way. The Senate shapes the judiciary, it shapes the executive branch, and obviously it's a veto point for the passage of even ordinary legislation. That is the way the system works. That's the whole point. The reason that the senators have oversight over the executive positions is because they are an oversight body. That's not because they pick them. They are an oversight body, but they don't split that hair. It's all about a fair, equal, socialistic, democratic system that has a lot more fairness built in, where they have power forever. That's the whole point. That's what you saw when Hillary Clinton was fail-blogged in 2016, where it was like one vote, one vote. Why does that matter? Yeah, that's because they lost. All right, let's keep on going. This is where it all ties back together. Guys, I'm telling you, let me hear you in the comments if you're seeing it. One of the things that has gone around progressive circles over the last decade or so is if you have people like Elizabeth Anderson, for instance, who make the point that we are governed in more spaces than just the political sphere. Wait for it, here comes the economic inequality. We spend about a third of our time at work. The decisions that are made at the top of corporations we work for often affect us more directly, intimately, and immediately than decisions made in Washington, D.C., or in state houses, or in City Hall. And yet we feel that we're not democratically entitled to any kind of voice in those spaces because it's a freaking job. You don't have to go be an employee of that space. You don't have to work for that corporation. The corporation chooses the organizational structure and organizational policies, and you decide yay or nay if you want to work there. It's a little different, but it's unfair because the corporations make, oh my God. They also pay you. Anyway, let's keep going. And yet we feel that we're not democratically entitled to any kind of voice in those spaces, except for maybe hoping that we can act through government to regulate the economy. In other words, regulate the corporation bosses. They say it right here. When we try to do that, we find that Washington, D.C. and political institutions are often dominated by wealthy people, our bosses. I'm going to take you back to 1911 real quick. What's this last little piece that I just showed you? The Corporation of the United States, the Capitalist Corporation of the United States. The will of the people, the Senate had to become a board of directors for the Capitalist Corporation of the United States right there. Guys, they're doing the exact same stuff. They're just washing and repeating it. Anyway, keep on. All right. So now the guy, Duthot, this guy right here, this guy is the interviewee, or interviewer rather. The Nuevo, or whatever his name is the guy proposing this stuff. All right, let's do an excursion back in time to the American founding, because one of your arguments is that America was not actually intended to be a democracy. You need stupid pills to understand it, like to follow this. Right, says the guy. That in fact we should understand our founding almost in terms of kind of an oligarchic coup. Talk a little bit about your view of the founding. The New York Times just said that the revolution of the United States, or the revolution away from Britain, or the Revolutionary War, was an oligarchic coup. Now why that's important is because that would imply that those same people who were the oligarchs who rebelled against the king, they would have their own little fiefdoms, their own kingdoms, but they don't have that. They actually put in a system where the states had a say, of which they're actually trying to destroy through the Senate apportionment. It's all cyclical. It doesn't make any sense on any level, but it doesn't matter. It's about emotions and feels and fairness. That's what they're saying right here, is that it's an oligarchical coup. If it was an oligarchical coup, we would have 12 different fiefdoms with 12 different ruling families. We don't. That's not the way it worked. They gave up power. That whole point is moot. But anyway, let's continue. I want to hear more stupid. So when you raise some of the objections that I've raised about the nature of our system, conservatives will often say, this is amazing, well, we're not a republic. We're a republic. We're not a democracy. And I think that liberals, by habit, say, no, that's not true. The founders actually intended democracy, but they messed up in 50 million different ways. The guy literally says, I think conservatives have the better side of the argument when you look at the historical record. Okay, then what are we arguing about? Other than the fact that you want socialist control of all the command and control economy. Guys, when you get to the end of this, all this becomes is literally envy, equity, and social control. That's where this all goes. That's why they want our gun rights. That's why they push so hard for them. That's why they want our freedom of speech. That's why they want all our rights, and that's why they want us to be under the boot of socialist control. That's the whole point. I got more for you. I'm going to keep on going. I haven't gotten to the blue highlight yet. Again, this is an hour-long conversation. We're not going to be here an hour, I promise. Now, same guy, Nuevo, and I see all the emojis and the hearts in the comments. I'm loving it. Let me know if you guys think that this is good, because I thought this is gold. We could start with the thing that I think most Americans think about when they think about the undemocratic nature of our system, a reform that most Americans have supported for a long time, which is dealing with the Electoral College. See how that worked out? The main points that undermine all the democratic control, the Senate, They don't like that because the filibuster, and there's more people in California than Wyoming, so we got to destroy that. The Electoral College, well, that gives more say to other states, so they have a disproportionate amount of say in who runs our country. Let's destroy that. And the Supreme Court, that gets in the way of the progressive moves forward, just like the 1911 article said that I just showed you. We should pack that too. Literally, it's not about rules. It's not about guide rails. It's not about constraints. It's about what they want for their own power. That's what this whole thing is about. And I will go hard on this because it's in the historical record. Anyway, I digress. So if you've got a number of states, this is how they're going to circumvent it. So if you get a number of states totaling up to the 270 you need to win the presidential election to say, quote, we're actually going to throw our electoral votes to the popular vote winner, you functionally worked around the Electoral College. That's exactly what the Democrats accused Trump of doing. And they tried to put him in jail for it, for giving the Electoral College votes to somebody else. That's exactly what they said. They're just throwing it out there as perfectly fine. All right, now to the Senate. So an ideal Senate, or would there be a Senate at all in your scenario? Well, that's another question. I think it's worth exploring. It's kind of a radical idea. Is it? Shocking. But it's an argument that you have to make on the basis of getting people to understand not only that the system is not democratic, but what is the value of democracy actually to begin with? If you're still hanging here, thank you. This is the most important tie-in. Well, the Senate is terrible because it's not democratic. Started back in 1911, right here. I just showed you. That is actually from the 1911, February 28th, 1911, in the New York Times. It's not democratic. Well, because the Senate's not democratic, we need to destroy the Senate. But since we're talking about the radical idea of destroying the Senate, is it really democratic at all? Is it really even necessary? You see how they just move that real slow? If you're young watching this, or you're sending this to someone young, understand these are the people. They are ruthless. They do not know time. They will continue these thoughts forever. What is the value of democracy actually to begin with? Okay. It's kind of weird coming from the people who all they claimed and crowed that Trump was going to destroy democracy, our sacred democracy, but really, what's that important anyway? It's mind-boggling. I'm going to keep on going. This is a long article, but I got a few points I want to highlight real quick. Because this stuff, and I hope I'm landing the plane. Let me know in the comments. Good Lord, where did I leave this one? Did I get rid of this one all the way down here? I clearly did. No, that was the whole point. Dang, I thought I had a really good one to end with a good punch, but I guess I didn't. So, here's the thing, people. When you are dealing with the people that we're dealing with, this is not a fight for a 4-year term. This is not the Trump slump 2.0. This is not the next Biden administration. It's not the next Democrat administration. You are dealing with people who have been on the same bent, with the same talking points, with the same class warfare since 1911. 1911, 114 years, longer than anyone watching this right now. Anyone. They've been at this. They're not going to stop. The only way to stop them is to defeat them through the battlefield of ideas, which is what we're doing on this channel, which is why we're taking them on directly on their home turf, on the New York Times. Guys, I hope I landed this plane, and I hope this video goes a long way, because this is absolutely crazy, tying 1911 to right now. Let me know what you think in the comments field below, and I will see you in the next one. I passed the blue one. Okay, well, if I pass the blue one, hold on. Sorry, I was going to wrap up, but if I pass the blue one because it didn't stand out, I'll go look for it. Hold on. Just because I like you guys, and you guys told me I missed it, and I believe I did, because you guys don't lie. You guys are always on point. If I miss blue, I swear I'm going to be so embarrassed. I really thought I had a good one. That's not it. Bear with me, people. Bear with me. They said they wanted to see blue. They said they wanted to see it, and I passed it. I was going too fast, talking, running my mouth. Boom! You guys were absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. I owe it to you, each and every one of you. Thank you very much for calling me on that. All right, here's the last thing I wanted to show you guys. This is what this guy said. I think that's right, but I would actually flip it. One of the reasons we don't have Medicare for all is that it's been hard for us to do social democratic policy in general. If people actually perceive, well, you say this is for me and for everyone, but you're taking money out of my pocket to give it to somebody else who I don't know, some stranger who hasn't worked as hard as me, that's been the fundamental barrier to the success of social democratic reform in this country. Yeah, I told you it was there. That's the point. They want full-on progressive control, and they want to destroy everything that gets in the way. The Senate, Electoral College, the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter. They don't care. They want it. That's the point, guys. They've been doing it for 100 and some odd years, and they're not going to do it on our watch. All right, now I'll do a full wrap-up. I will see each and every one of you on the next one. I love each and every one of you just the right amount that makes you feel comfortable. I'm Braden. See you later.